Hello and welcome to today's authors. Today's special guest is Nancy Bruno, a young woman who followed her curiosity, I would like to say around the world, but probably just around part of it, like most of us, and has managed to do a very interesting thing, which we really love looking at on this show, and that is to take pictures and to tell stories with visuals, but then also interviewing people and doing profiles on them and finding out more about the nature of people than most of us probably realize. She has published two books, one called Beautiful Women and the other Genuine Men. And we'd like to talk with her about both of those. So stick around, we're going to have a good time. Nancy, good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I think the first thing is the simple question, like where do you come up with beautiful women? And how is your photography and interviewing curiosity developed into kind of a profession where beautiful becomes redefined? What do you mean by beautiful women?
Oh, well, it's exactly what you said. Beautiful Women is about redefining our society's idea or vision of what beauty is for a woman. What I come up with here is beauty is the sum of a woman's life experiences. It's much more than just her physical beauty. We can't deny our physical bodies, but we can make it about this much of their definition of ourselves and look at the whole encompassing of our lifetime.
One of the things that I think emphasizes that with the way the book is laid out is that it goes through that period of time which we all consider beautiful, which is sold to us, youth.
Yep.
And then gets resold to us as we get older, but we're no longer in the picture. It's still the picture of somebody who's 20 or 30.
Who's youthful.
And pushing. Once you hit 40, I think Meryl Streep has this great quote where she says, well, now that I'm 40, I'm no longer going to be able to do those roles,
Exactly. And it's interesting, the way that the exhibition in the book is laid out begins with a 3-year-old girl, and it goes all the way through a 90-year-old woman. And there's a woman in her 70s, Evelyn, and she says it very eloquently. She says, when I look in the mirror, what I see back at me is a woman with puffy eyes, gray hair, and many wrinkles, but that's not how I actually feel or choose to see myself. And she's absolutely right. And what I wanted to do through this book and through these images is show that beauty is so much more. If you take a moment when you're walking down the street and you engage someone by simply saying, I like your hair, I like your outfit, you have a beautiful smile, and you have a small conversation with them, you will learn so much more. Beauty is what you are attracted to. There is something much more than just their physical self at that moment.
Do you find that when you're talking about beauty in women that you're really talking about an external world, that the picture they have, you look in a mirror, a woman looks in a mirror, sees the puffy eyes, the gray hair, the wrinkles, and thinks, well, that's not really me.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, when I started this, it was about women who are role models for all of us. I became interested in this when I was sitting on a beach in Italy. My husband's from Italy. We go home every year. And it was one of those periods, a beautiful sunny day. And we talk about body image and self-esteem. Some people say it's a fat, thin thing. And it's many different things. Tall, short. I have curly hair, straight hair, freckles. We all have our stuff. And I was sitting on this beach covered in towels. I didn't want to get too much sun. My hair was all over the place. And I started watching all of these women on the beach. And some were young, some were older, some were kids. And they were fully embracing the moment that they were in. And I wanted to know what they had, what I didn't yet know. And that's how I began the journey of trying to find women who really embraced life, who were so beautiful because of the way they lived their lives and the way that their lifestyle, in that sense, affected and touched so many others around them.
Wow. So how did you go about finding women? I mean, I know you need sort of a cross-section. You weren't looking for glamorous people or celebrities or models.
Absolutely not. And I was offered people who have celebrity status and I actually said no thank you, because I wanted people to come and look at these images and read these stories to learn and read, not try and find the secrets of somebody's life that they're not letting out. I tell people I trust and who I know very well, this is the story I want to tell if you know somebody. And within moments, someone will always say to me, I know somebody. I know somebody you have to meet. The other way, I watch and I listen to people. I met one woman. I was at a conference in a hotel, very busy, and I needed her help. It was the breakfast rush, and I said, "Excuse me, do you have a basket?" And she treated me like I was the only person in that restaurant at the time. And when I came back, I returned what she had let me borrow, and again, I watched her. And finally, I said, "You know what, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, I would like you to participate." By the time I got home that evening, I had an email from her husband thanking me for recognizing the beauty that he had always seen in his wife.
That's wonderful.
So, I mean, these are the types of people that I get to meet.
So you travel around and you sort of pick people out. Part of that's instinct. It's got to be, right? The photographer's instinct. Are you sort of an immersion person, like you know how to get into a scene and you just sort of hang around and people don't recognize that you're there and you shoot pictures when they're...
Well, what I do is I spend a lot of time with the people who I want to photograph, because a camera is a very intimidating thing.
Right.
And many of us are trained to pose and look a certain way when we photograph. I spend months with people before I even take out my camera. And I spend it, in this case, with their families and their friends as well, because they choose how they want to be photographed. For the women, it was really, I want you to be photographed in a way that when you are doing this particular activity, you feel you're most beautiful. You feel yourself at this stage of your life. And in order to do that, they have to pretend that I am not there. And after so many interviews and so much talking back and forth over the months, by the time I take my camera out, I'm not there. I'm a tree, I'm a piece of furniture.
I think what people who don't do this sort of thing don't understand is you just don't show up and do one of these stories.
No. There's a lot of time. You really need to get to know each other. I share as much of myself as they share of their self, so they know that they're kind enough to let everybody hear what their life is. And I need to have that kind of back and forth, and there's a trust that's there between us that grows over time, just like any other friendship or relationship.
So in a real situation, what kind of thing do you do? Do you hang out during the day? Do you visit at night? Do you find out when the subject is most active in his or her life? All
of the above. And a lot of it now is done with technology. We talk on the telephone. We email each other back and forth. And when we start this, before I even meet them, I send everybody a set of questions that they need to answer. I don't know them, so I need a kind of jumping off point. So we start with a series of blank questions that they answer. I read them over. Then we'll talk on the telephone, depending on where they live in the country. We'll meet. We always meet at some point. And it's a really ongoing back and forth for a number of months.